Well, good evening, race fans, and a very warm welcome to the Shanghai circuit for our Chinese Grand Prix here with the International Racing League. This is round 12 of our 16-round championship. And it's time to get underway then for qualifying. Our championship, as things stand, the merciless Merckx leads our championship on 218 points, having won every single Grand Prix he has entered. And welcome also, we've got Maxfield and we've got Floydie tuning in, but whoever else shows up, do say hello as well. Do likewise, we'll get you a shout out. Ricky Maroux is not far away on 195 points with 4 rounds to go. It is still definitely on at the moment, but he could really do with outscoring Merckx from time to time. AJ, Ricky's teammate, or ARL as he is on screen, is on 127 points. And that is a short gap away from Milan in the Williams, in 4th position. Our double world champion, the Maestro Moist, is 5th on 113, not far away now from Milan, with Speedy Spud in 6th place on 79 points, ahead of Ollie on 75. Alpha Alex has 55 in 8th, Leon 39 in 9th, and Marco 27 in 10th. Sticky has 25 points in 11th, Floyd has 23 in 12th, and then we have a tie for 13th place, Atsu and Davey Norris, with just one place back in 15th on 12 points, Jaffa Jake. Dobo has 7 points in 16th. Chuck Norris has 5 in 17th place. Triple Bay and Respond joint 18th place in the championship, with Urchin bringing up the rear, having yet to score with us. In the Constructors' title, as things stand, reigning champions Aston Martin are only 3rd position of the championship right now. VCarb lead the way with 322. Kick Sauber 236 in 2nd place. In 4th we have Williams on 125. Haas have 118 with McLaren an even 100 in 6th place. Ferrari 55, Alpine 30, Red Bull 28, and the very little used Mercedes in last place, 10th, with 4 points. Let's get you some action on track though. And we'll get you trackside for the next instalment of qualifying. We have 13 drivers for you today, which is a lot more respectable than we've recently been able to muster. I would imagine that ARL is first out the pits, but no, he is absolutely not. We have a McLaren out there. Let's see if we can't locate which one. It must be Ollie, and he's first on track. So we'll join him as he heads through the snaking, unraveling snail of turn 13 down the 1 kilometre long main straight here. It's about 3/4 of a mile flat out before braking heavily for the premium overtaking opportunity on the lap into turn 14. Manages to lock a wheel on its warm-up lap here, just generating temperature in the tyres, and then a blink and you miss it. Turn 16, right angle corner, very, very short action corner. You'll see drivers running wide through the exit there later on. But here we go, powering down, full chat, down into the decreasing or tightening snail shell of turn 1 and 2. Turn 3 is to the left, almost a U-turn around here. And then you've got to set yourself up for traction through turn 4 and 5, which are just flat out sections, before then a hairpin to the right of turn 6. Don't leave the door open in the race for someone coming up from behind. Then the traditional Tilkedrome flat out left and right section, before slightly unusual turns 9 and 10. Treat them as one corner if you can. Hook up 2 apexes with a consistent turning angle on the car. Short straight down to turn 11. Possible overtaking opportunity, but quite unlikely, and we're back where we were just a few moments ago as we go through the permanently empty grandstand section. The smog hovering over Shanghai. You can actually see something in the background from time to time here, but often come race day it is not the case, and we head down to just try and finish this lap out neat and tidy, try and get hooked up to the apex, get on the power as early as possible, and sacrifice the extreme edge of the circuit try and just float the car through turn 16 and continue your momentum. A 31.8 for Ole, as Alpha Alex follows up with a 32.2, and we join our double world champion Moist, who is continuing in the Aston Martin, though they've taken a big dip in form this season versus last season. I look forward to seeing Moist right back there at the top once again as soon as we can. Into turn 11 we go. Ricky Maru sets a provisional pole, a 1:31.5, and that's a nice, neat and tidy lap. Milan in third, a 31.8. It's nice and tight at the top. It looks like Moist, though, is actually just weaving around and getting the car set up on this lap at the moment. ARL uncharacteristically staying in the pits. I wonder what that's all about. Here comes Floyd Pink then underneath the giant structures over the track and completes a lap in 8th position. Mert goes fastest at 31.318 is your new target time for the drivers. Moist is still out there on his warm-up lap, I think. 37.4 is all he managed without using any ERS, I imagine. And he's saved it all so that he can power out of the final corner at full ERS deployment. Get the fastest run down the track. But this track gives you plenty of opportunities to use the battery, so you don't want to use it up too much. He's just drifted off circuit. He's followed the infield alternate configuration, has Moist, and I think maybe just a drop in focus there for a moment. He's completely scrubbed the lap. Looks like Atsu's been off track as well and done likewise, and no sign of ARL at this stage for VCARB. So it is Merckx from Ricky Maru, familiar rivals at the top of the order. Got Bjorn having settled into 4th position between Real Max and Ollie. But here is Atsu on a lap at the moment. I think Moist has destroyed his own lap on his previous circuit there. Looks like Atsu and Moist still rocking the default helmet choice. No time to customize their helmets and coordinate. And Atsu getting out onto the extreme edge for the straightest run through that torturous turn 13 that he can muster using the ERS once again. We've got Sticky out on a lap as well. We'll stay with Atsu to see this lap out. But looks like the Aston Martin of Moist has decided to go on through and set a second time. It was a 35 something, but of course, having run foul of the white lines in the gap between turn 4 and 5, he has not been able to log that time. We've got Sticky, though, on his lap, just getting a little bit locked up through turns 9 and 10, excuse me, underneath the DHL and timing beam, and then into this final sector of the track. Looks like we had a little bit of trouble over turn 11, apex bump, costing him a few tenths of a second maybe. Sticky, though, at the tail of the field for McLaren, his teammate in 5th position on an out lap at the moment. Ricky Maru stayed out. I think he's coming on an in lap, though. And Sticky then down, getting a good apex this time. Over the apex we go, and flat out to the line with Sticky, and that's good enough for 9th position. I think Ricky might still be out on track. Let's have a look at Ricky. What's he up to? He is going faster on his second lap, it seems. So going round again here on the soft tyres. Wouldn't mind a little nudge there, but no, it's a 0.9 plus on the car. So I think just heading into the pits. Moist goes fastest, a 31.2. And I realised I didn't actually see him on track, but Moist goes fastest at this early stage, and that's a really good banker lap for him to build on through the 9.5 minutes that we have remaining in qualifying. Really glad that everyone can join us today, and I'm really grateful for any likes or subscriptions that add to the pile. I'm nearing 250 subscribers, which is awesome. I need 500 though to unlock some monetization, but at this stage I'm really grateful for any additional subscriber and any ways in which you can continue to support the channel. I'm trying to get content out on a daily basis at the moment. Just one short or short form video. But I'd be grateful to hear from you if there's anything additional you want to see, or you want to see something more of something, then let me know. They haven't even put seats in that giant grandstand-like tiered structure at the back of the circuit. Moist is circulating at the moment. Here is Max, though. Real Max, who is heading through turn 1 and into turn 2, now turning left for turn 3. And let's see, he's there or thereabouts, just 0.4 of a second away from provisional pole. Here we go, up towards the first sector, and he's up on his own time, but not the fastest so far. Merckx is also out. Let's see him across the timing beam, and that is 006 ahead of himself. And he's the nearest driver to the ultimate pace at this stage, but of course Moist holds it by less than 1/10 of a second. See what Merck can lift. Big snap going through the flat out section. Might have just been that touch on the near side curb through turn 7, and then he was chasing the lap time and it's got away from him, unfortunately for Merck. So we'll cut back towards Real Max, who's 1/10 away from his best through the second sector. Still, he could recover this lap and gain some time. It's very close at the top though, and he could do with an advantage over Bjorn if he feels like it. He'll certainly make the best attempt possible. Rocking the black gloves option for a Mercedes driver. Didn't know that was an option for the drivers, but it looks pretty slick. Floats through turn 16 to finish the lap out. Stays to the right and goes a slight amount slower than he's been before, unfortunately for him, as it looks like the rest of the track is gripping up, but I'm not convinced about that turn 7. It just bit Mercked in a big way, didn't it? Oh, Alpha Alex getting way too much turn-in into turn 9. Bad oversteer moment, and that was an invalidated lap from him. Here comes Speedy Spud, our host and main admin at the moment. He goes into 8th position, and that was a healthy lap for a 32.183. Still, ARL sits in the pit lane. He's kind of playing the Mercked game here of waiting for the end. And good evening to Jessica, who joins us. Nice to have you. Now, let me have... could I just get 3 guesses as to who you're going to cheer for tonight? It's Bjorn, 22 thousandths of a second up on his previous time. He needs 20 thousandths clear to beat Real Max on the grid. It's that close between 4th and 5th positions. Coming through then, heading towards the timing beam for the end of sector 2. He goes and he's up by double the amount he needs. So he's got plenty of time to spare, I'm sure. Bjorn will still be pushing hard though. Big oversteer moment through turn 13. That's going to hurt him all the way down to the hairpin, I fear. So it could be that lost him more than the 42 thousandths he had before. Here he goes. And braking very late. Past the 100 meter board before he hit the brakes, it felt like anyway. I wasn't watching his throttle trace at all. Here comes Ricky, 1/10 of a second down on his time before. ARL's there's no strats here, not feeling too good. A bit better now though, so he's going to come out at the moment. So racing driver excuses start already, and we hope you do okay. I imagine that the adrenaline will keep you going for the race time, ARL, but I do feel for you if after the race and the come down afterwards, it's going to be a little bit tough. But yeah, tough it out for us and get yourself up on the fight for the podium there. Max saying I was on old tyres for my second run. Nice, okay. So saving a set of softs for the Grand Prix. 4.5 minutes to go, qualifying only. Here comes Ricky Maru looking for a pole position, or at least a front row if he can make it. Needs 1/10 of a second. He gets 5, and it's up into the 1:30.974 for Ricky Maru. Great lap from the championship contender here. The relentless Ricky Maru Here is Milan on track, about to close out Sector 1, and he is up on his time. He needs a little bit more to get past Ollie on the qualifying. We're still waiting then for the main challengers, Moist and Merkt, perhaps Real Max as well, and Bjorn to come out for their final laps. We're waiting on ARL as well. He's still in the pits. He said he was on his way out, but he's keeping us waiting. So I'm going to have to ask Jessica who you most want to come second in the race today. Who's your second favourite driver in the grid? Milan powers out of turn 13 and heads down the 1 kilometre straight. Jessica's cheering on Speedy. I thought you were going to say Bjorn because he's in the Red Bull with Floyd, but no, she's going to go for Speedy. Very nice indeed. That was a very slidey way through turn 16 for Milan, but it worked. Up to 6th place for him as Moist is out on track. Ollie is pushing and up by a 10.5, about to take that position back off Milan, I think. We can just hook the rest of this lap together. He's about halfway around at the moment and staying valid, keeping it between the white lines. He's now a third of a second up. This is a good one from Ollie. This should probably be his final time. Moist is on an outlap, Max is on an outlap, and Merkt is in the pits. ARL is finally out to do a one-shot quali here. Floydie and Speedy Spud, meat and potatoes, says Jessica. Okay, I don't want to know about Floydie and why he's meat. Keep that one under your hat. Braking heavily then goes Ollie into that hairpin at the end of the lap. One more corner to go. Over the exit curb we go with Ollie, and a big climb up to 4th position for Ollie. Nicely done as Moist is on track again. Now, is he going to just play it cool here and keep us waiting? Let's have a look for see whether he's using his telemetry, using his ERS, I should say. Yeah, he's not really using it, so I think he's going to wait for his second lap. That's the plan anyway. El plan in the Aston Martin. Ollie then with that 4th position. We've got Ricky and Merkt out on outlaps. We've got ARL on an outlap too. Where is Merkt at the moment? He's coming through turns 9 and 10. Ricky behind him on track. Where is ARL? He is about to head down into and get going for his next and only push lap. So just conserving energy for the Grand Prix here. Not feeling too good. And he's going to power on through and try and qualify here. I hope he'll forgive me though for joining drivers who are definitely at the sharp end. He's just started spinning and no practice on the track, so he's managed to rescue it. Seemed to go into ghosted mode for a moment there, possibly. It could just be at my end. I don't 100% want to point a finger there. Here is Merkt on board with him as he guns for pole position. He would not like to be starting on the second row. I don't think it's panic stations for the Sauber squad here. And we'll stay with him for the first sector, see how much he gains or loses as we head through. What's this one going to be? Wow, 0.3 of a second for Merkt in a single sector of the racetrack. That's special. That's pretty special from him. Let's see if he can survive turns 7 and 8 this time. Looks like he's treating it a little bit more carefully. Climbs all over the apex curb there. Let's see where Ricky is. Merkt was 0.3 up. Ricky almost a 10th to the good, and Merkt comes through, and he's gained even more. Over 0.4 of a second he is up on his previous time. Let's see if he can hook up the throttle nicely. It's all about getting into the ideal racing line where the rubber is down on the racetrack, as long as it hasn't been raining. Merkt heads through. Ricky Maru about to close through that second sector. Where is he? Ricky is the same distance as he has been before. Now, Merkt needs 0.3. Ricky just needs to beat whatever Merckx profits on this lap. Merckx got a nice cheeky toe here, heading towards the pit lane entry, but is going to turn left to finish the lap out. Will this be provisional pole for Merckx? It will be. A 30.6 is huge for him, and I know Ricky's probably listening in, and he could end up having his heart absolutely sink to see that from Merckx. A 30.6 when previously the best was a 30.9. What can Ricky Maru do? It looked like he was good for a 30.8 potentially here. Well, has he improved any more? No, but I think he stayed second position in the end. He did indeed. Merckx then with the fastest time at the final run and the final time of asking, as per really from Merckx. Here he is on top by nearly 0.3 of a second in the end from Ricky Maru in second place. Moist and Bjorn share the second row, and on row 3 we have Ole ahead of Alpha Alex. Real Max starts 7th, Milan in 8th, Speedy Spud in 9th, and Floyd in 10th. We have Sticky in 11th, Atsu in 12th. ARL got our lap hooked up at the end, but that Spinella in turn 1 and through into turn 2 was probably to blame. Merckx, though, a really, really good lap overall there. Here we go. It's time to go racing. The 5 lights are on. And it's drop the clutch. And go, go, go. A much better start this time from Ricky, getting away ahead of Moist, but not challenging Merckx. It's actually Moist on the defensive from the advances of Bjorn de Boer down the inside. We've got Alpha Alex squeezed between the Williams and the McLaren, but Merckx away safely. Moist is battling here and heading into a ghosted situation because of the contact, I think, between himself and the Red Bull, who sneaks ahead on the way through turn 5. It is Merckx, Ricky Maru, Bjorn de Boer, and further back down the grid, we've got a Haas defending. We've got some debris being shaken off the car. I think that was a problem on one of the noses of the cars at the back of the grid. I thought it might have been the McLaren, but I don't think so on a second glance. Maybe Floyd has had some problems. A bit of a slide from some more cars trying to get through turn 7 on cold tyres. ARL still at the back of the grid, but Merckx holds on at the front. It's him ahead of Ricky Maru, and now Bjorn de Boer in third position. We're waiting for Moist to strike, as it were, and get back his third position with Alpha Alex right behind him. Real Max has dropped to 7th. Bjorn de Boer, though, has managed to pick up some positions in that run. We've got medium tyres on everybody except Moist, Floyd and ARL, and they've gone for the strategy despite the problems coming down the order that we had earlier on. Any manoeuvres happening down as we run through, but no, it is Merckx ahead of Ricky Maru, and I think this is how it's likely to be for a while. It usually is between these two. Sparking over the final curb goes Bjorn de Boer. Merckx picks up the fastest lap, but he's got Ricky right behind him and waiting patiently for that DRS enablement, and it comes straight after lap 1. So Ricky does not have to wait as long as he had in the previous game iteration. We are racing 2024 rule set. So lap 2 DRS is enabled, effectively stopping the leader from creating that gap that has been a key skill set ever since DRS became a thing in the Vettel years of the championship. And that was his main specialty back then. It's lap 2. It's Merckx ahead of Ricky Maru, Bjorn de Boer, and Strike Moist with Alpha Alex, Milan, Real Max, and Speedy Spud, the top 8 at this point in proceedings. Let's have a look. A position change. Very little position apart from Ole having a problem very recently and dropping down to 13th position, although I think that might have been a pit stop to change the front wing, because we did see some debris earlier on. Yeah, we've had one stop from Ollie. That promotes ARL, but pretty much everybody only moving up and down one position with the exception of Ollie himself. Let's leave things on the tyre, as here is Ricky, not prepared to wait for Merckx, and already launching a bid for the lead. He's got the inside line. He almost closed out Merckx on the exit there, but didn't do so. Left a gap. Merckx put 2 wheels out on the grass. Ricky takes the lead of the race come the start of lap 2. Bjorn de Boer picks up the fastest lap. Merckx has DRS once again in retaliation against Ricky. They'll go side by side. This is perilous for our championship contenders, especially now that we have Bjorn right there, as who is apparently a friend of Merckx. We've got Ricky fully alongside Merckx. He could end up opening the door here to Bjorn. He cuts back for a little dip of slipstream, trying to sweep around the outside. That door is firmly open for Bjorn to sneak through, but no such luck as Ricky doesn't take any chances on the exit of the corner, and Merckx and Ricky battle super hard as they always do, but clean so far into lap 3. Now they've got Bjorn right with them, and Moist is some distance back, half a second, but I think he will be getting better and better throughout this stint. Merckx ahead of Ricky, ahead of Bjorn de Boer and Moist, with Alpha Alex close behind him. We've got a DRS train first to 8th, and then again a little one 10th to 12th. That's Floyd, Sticky and ARL, as Real Max World has managed to get ahead here. That's a Williams going slowly. That's Milan getting a bad exit out of turn 13. This is Ricky Maru under threat down into the hairpin, but not close enough from a manoeuvre. Looks like there's another move coming. This is Sticky getting a move past Floyd. I'm sorry to say, Jessica. It's Sticky getting through, but Floyd is on the hard tyre, so having to play a patient game here and wait for his chance later on in the stint. Merckx leads Ricky, leads Bjorn de Boer and Moist with Alpha Alex and Real Max World, your top 6. Milan has just cleared Sticky. Well, he hasn't quite. Sticky understeers into the corner, straight into the side of the Williams of Milan. And Milan will be a little bit more nervous battling with Sticky and putting himself on his outside now after that manoeuvre. Will we see Milan go for it down the outside into turn 6? That was actually quite easy in the end. I think Milan feeling quite confident on those tyres right now as we look over the shoulder of Bjorn de Boer and wait to see just how far and how deep into this race we will continue this DRS train all the way down to 7th now positions, and wait to see if anybody launches another attack. Ricky dropping back now, getting a little bit too far back for comfort from Merckx. It just needs a small error from Ricky, and Merckx will get out of that 1 second window. We'll get the DRS now, though, with Ricky, who starts to weave across the straight, sort of to follow Merckx, but also it's helping him just disrupt the flow. Here comes Alpha Alex down the inside of the Maestro, but he didn't have the gap and managed to bail out of the move before making contact at the apex. So Alpha Alex living to fight another day here up against the double world champion. And he's got a run here, has he? He's on better tyres at this stage. We'll see the hard and the medium. We may see the softs at the end, but we'll see what the drivers decide to do. It looks like Spud versus Milan. Round 3 is very much on. Spud getting ahead that time on the way through turn 1 and 2. And I think we've got Bjorn de Boer and Ricky side by side coming out of turn 6. Ricky's got the inside line for 7, but he's down back behind the back axle. He keeps fighting it, but Bjorn is just getting the overlap. And Ricky couldn't quite make a switchback manoeuvre work. He loses 2nd position, and now Bjorn is going to go after Merckx, and Ricky can just try and hold on to Bjorn's coattails here. Nobody wants to get out of Merckx DRS, because what we've seen before is as soon as that happens, sometimes at the early part of the race, sometimes at the very end of the race, Merckx will disappear, hits the warp button and goes. So they really need the advantage of the DRS, and Merckx knows it because he's starting to form a snake down, a wiggling snake down the 1K straight. Braking heavily, that gap down to 0.6 of a second. Often, though, these drivers are just fighting amongst each other and will end up dropping or being dropped by Merckx. It's only lap 5, but it's really time to make sure that everybody's target in their own minds is the win, not fighting over 2nd and 3rd. At the moment, those gaps holding. Milan to Spud is now... Sorry, it's now nothing, because Spud gets the manoeuvre back again. I think that was. Incredible stuff between these two. As Victor says, very tight leadership fight, for sure. I don't know how many International Racing League races you've watched with us, Victor, but Merckx and Ricky have fought hammer and tongue together all season long. Merckx has come out on top every single time they've been on track together, but Ricky sometimes has been within DRS to the very end of the race, not counting sometimes the odd late track limit penalty award. But suffice to say, these two are incredibly close to one another in performance. Merckx, though, always seems to have the edge, and we just wait for Ricky to finally get that W against Merckx that will feel oh so good when it finally does come. We hope in the last 5 rounds of the championship before we see Merckx get the championship before the end of the season. We'd love to see in the double points final. We'd love to see it taken right to the end. Ricky Meroux passes Bjorn de Boer, and again they need to make sure they're not losing time squabbling amongst each other. It's easy to say, it's very difficult to do. And they are almost out of DRS range. It's 0.9 of a second now. Ricky could do with just letting Bjorn go here, because he knows how strong Merckx is with the DRS missing. And Bjorn, although a friend of Merckx, doesn't have the history in this league with Ricky that Ricky does with Merckx. Moist is in 4th. Alpha Alex still with him in 5th. And they are still just within that DRS zone. Ricky just not feeling confident, like he knows Bjorn as well as he knows Merckx, and they have slipped out of DRS, and that is critical for this race to stay a question mark over the win. Is these drivers working together? Victor saying Moist is doing fine with the hard tyre. He's sure, yeah, absolutely right, Victor. He is, and that is true to form for the Maestro Moist. He frequently makes that option strategy work. Down in the background, ARL has got past Floyd. So gap to leader for those drivers. Let's have a look at that. It is out to 15 seconds, ARL and Floyd Pink. So a long way back at this stage. But still plenty of racing left to go. Here comes Moist. What's he up to? He's passing both drivers into turn 14. Moist has just got a double on these guys, and now is the tick over point, I think, for those hard tyres. He needs to try and catch Merckx, and being a double world champion, maybe he's the best placed driver to do just that. I think he spent a fair amount of energy making that pass work. Great double overtake from the Maestro, but is it costing them all time to our leader Merckx? I think it might be. Moist is pushing. Oh, that's Ricky Meroux. That's Ricky Meroux off the circuit, and that is very uncharacteristic to see. Ricky, blend the throttle, don't cut the apex, you'll pick up a penalty, and down to 6th place. So the championship leading VCARB team are definitely on the back foot today. It is not working out for them here in China. A safety car could fix their situation brilliantly. It could be that Ricky decides now is a good time to get a better tyre on and change strategy. Keep everybody guessing, but 2 seconds is the lead now for Merckx over Bjorn de Boer and Moist, with Alpha Alex in 4th position. We'll stay with these drivers as Real Max World is taking that Mercedes to places it has rarely seen in this season, which is the top 10, frankly. The Mercedes, when we have a driver for it, hasn't necessarily featured particularly highly. Here comes Moist down the inside of Bjorn. And are they finally getting the idea here? Are they finally getting the picture that they have to work together for anybody to have a hope of a win other than Merckx, who, as I say, has won every single Grand Prix so far this season that he has contested. It is a phenomenal record. He's had like 4 weeks off of the 12. Round the outside goes Bjorn de Boer. They're still costing each other time, but it's so tempting. Actually, that looked like Merckx had made a mistake and has lost time himself, unforced, and that has gifted these drivers the ability to use DRS once again. Finally, oh, and Ricky has 10-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He's given up. Ricky has packed it in, and unfortunately, well, he's done the right thing. He's quit in the pit lane, and that's all we ask of our drivers. No one has got the patience to race every single week, come what may, and never have a dip in motivation, but we asked them to go into the pits, and Ricky has, at very least, he's done that. Uncharacteristic from Ricky. I hate to see it, especially for our championship, but unfortunately, Ricky is out. I will keep an eye on my DMs because Ricky is usually pretty lively in there, and he'll let me know, I think, when he's ready to talk. But that's huge for our championship. Ricky retiring after only 8 racing laps here in the Chinese Grand Prix, with just 4 races left to go in the championship after this one. Really huge moment. Well, Moist will continue to call the race. Moist is within that DRS zone now and has a tyre advantage in performance at this stage. He doesn't have to be as careful on the tyre, and he certainly isn't being. There's a beautiful drift for an F1 car. That was a beautiful drift through turn 16, the final corner. And actually, he lost a bit of time as a result with that little drift. He gained a Webbo style point, but he lost a bit of time, sadly. I don't know. Someone's just joined the live chat or the live viewing. I don't know if that's Ricky, but if it is, I hope he'll let us know what happened to his race. Moist just right on the very edge of catching this DRS zone. I think he'll be there by the detection point, which is the entry into turn 12. I think the gap between 11 and 12, that tiny little gap, I think is the detection point for the DRS. He's not quite there, is he? He may need to spend some ERS to catch. That's a lockup from Merckx, but it didn't hurt his performance to the apex, and he hasn't given up DRS on their way out of 13. Maybe the detection is actually on the exit of 13. I'm not sure. Victor says, feel sorry for him. Hate to have it happen to me. It takes your energy out of it. Yeah, I do. I completely understand. I do. I just wish it hadn't happened. But like I say, I know it goes on. And he's at least he's done the honourable thing, and he's quit in the situation. As Beyond a Butt takes the pit lane and, like an absolute boss, almost shaves the wheel off on the pit wall coming in. But that promotes Alpha Alex to 3rd, Real Max to 4th. It'll be a super quick pit stop for the Red Bull squad, but he's down to 7th. It might even be lower than that in a minute, but he's on the hard tyres. I think that will be hard tyres to the end of the race. And we'll see if Moist can get back on terms with the pace of Merckx. He doesn't necessarily have to make a pass, but he really does need to stay within a couple of seconds here. Atsu has retired, so it's not good in the Ricky Maru Atsu family. Brothers racing here, but both have left the session. I wonder if something's actually happened where they are needed in some respect jointly. But so we'll find out if we can what happened to Ricky. And as soon as I know, you guys will know. There's a yellow flag just constantly flashing. That was Atsu's car on the retirement tour through turn 1. Another bug that has never been fixed in the F1 game. Have a look at Moist, though. He has now picked up the DRS. You can see it open just behind. There's Alpha Alex, 1.1 seconds away, as he starts to catch and reel in Merckx now. And the medium tyres are starting to let go. You can see the tyre smoke there from Merckx as he desperately tries to get down. This looks like a run into the pit lane. It is. So that means the double world champion, the Maestro Moist, takes the lead of the race on the favoured tyre at this stage and is able to run here. Merckx will come out and have to adapt to the cold, hard tyre. ARL's picked up a 3-second penalty. The first of our penalties on the track today. So a few drivers not collecting penalties that they usually collect. This absolutely seems like the time for the pit stop for everybody. Real Max has stayed out 1 lap later than most, so is Sticky, I think. So those on 11-lap-old tyres are going 1 lap longer than the other guys who started on the medium tyres. Of course, the hard tyres will try and run through to lap 18-ish, or maybe even lap 22 if they want to try and make the soft tyres work at the end of the race. But the gap to the leader is what is important here for Moist. If he can keep a 20-second gap, he will be there or thereabouts on his pit exit. But he may feel like getting the mediums on as soon as possible. However, I'm kind of surprised that the mediums have only lasted 12 laps here. Sometimes they will go as long as the half distance of our Grand Prix. So let's see if that develops. But Moist ahead of Max. Let's head back to this one. We've got Bjorn de Bort with his teammate here. Different strategies. Teammate Floyd letting Bjorn go through for the good of the Red Bull team and the points haul. Merckx in third position has cleared them as the interval then is adding up to about 21 seconds still to the leader. Down in the order, Alpha Alex just muscles his way through past Floydie. That's not going to be a popular move from Alpha Alex, but he's keen to stay, I think, here with Bjorn and keep it going. Atsu says no thanks today. Atsu, have you got a line on what happened to Ricky as well? Because he retired just one lap earlier than you. But what went down with your race, Atsu? What's happening? Why the retirement? ARL is in 7th place, still fighting with Floydie here on the same strategy. Both started on the hard. How was ARL then dropped down behind Floydie? Because we saw him make the pass a few moments ago. It is Alpha Alex just half a second away from Bjorn. Still the gap for the leader is about 21 seconds to Merckx, which is a comfortable gap for him. But after the next lap, it will be advantage Merckx on the up to temperature hard tyre that he will hope to take through to a finish. Moist then will be hanging on to those hards for as long as he possibly can. Alpha Alex will be perhaps one of the only drivers here with DRS. Milan down in 10th might get it on the back of Spud. And already Merckx is starting to catch Real Max at the back here. Here is Milan. He will have DRS. He's half a second behind on the way out of turn 13. It is 1 kilometre of full power down to the hairpin. It's got great overspeed. It's lungeable, but no, he's not going to go for it. In fact, he just plays the patient game there, and Speedy Spud made a mistake at the apex. ARL and Floydie getting through again, and another pass between those two stalwarts of the league. Now, Floydie, I do believe, a founding member of the league, whereas ARL has been with us for a season or more now. This is Alpha Alex in 5th place. And he's right behind Bjorn. Alpha Alex enjoying these hard tyres a little bit more than Bjorn, I think, at this stage. Atsu said he thought Ricky spun or something. Don't know, but he had 0 pace and 0 motivation today. Well, 0 plus 0 equals 0, doesn't it, Atsu? So thanks for trying anyway. We'll hope you can find the pace or the motivation, or better still, both, as we get towards the next race in 1 week's time. We have a 4-week run for the championship finish this season. And then the drivers will be preparing, I think, for season 4, I imagine, pretty soon. And we hope to get better numbers towards the end of our season. And we've got a double points finale to come in 4 weeks' time. There's a move coming here. This is Milan versus Speedy Spud. Forced to the outside, Milan, as Merckx picks up the fastest lap on those new hard tyres. Max pits off the medium. That is very late compared to the others. That's 3 laps more than the others managed. For some, that was 4 laps more than they managed as well. But there is a fastest final sector, thanks to the DRS on the Williams for Milan. Floyd and ARL continue to battle here over now 5th position, although they have yet to pit. And when they do pit, I think they will be near the back of the grid. and have all the overtakes left to do once again. Moist leads Merckx by now 17.1 seconds, so Moist will have to go long and hope his tyre advantage is decisive in the end, but you can now see very clearly what his target is, and that is the gap to Merckx and possibly even Bjorn. That is still around 20 seconds total back to Bjorn. So Moist will see those gaps, and that will be his measuring stick for when it's time to pit. This the battle over 5th position. Just up the road, though, Alpha Alex has a chance here at Bjorn with the DRS. A great overspeed on the Ferrari. That was a late move from the Red Bull driver. But Alpha Alex, unperturbed. Unfortunately for him, though, he left a little bit of room at the apex. He just about gets ahead there into the final corner, and he's back ahead. But will there be retaliation here from Bjorn, who's able to get the DRS, get good drive off the corner? Oh, that looks like ARL has dropped down. It looks like the door is wide open, and that is a big clash of wheels between the two. I just want to check out what is happening with ARL, because he just went into the pits, that's why. So he just dropped down the order as Bjorn and Alpha Alex carry on. Victor saying Moist is taking distance. Is he? I think he's losing time to Merckx behind at this stage, down to 15.4 seconds right now. So the sooner for him he can get a good set of tyres on, as soon as he feels confident, he can get the car home, which should be around lap 18, absolute minimum. I mean, like I say, if he wants to, he could think about going... Well, no, I think he could get home now. 12 laps on a lighter fuel load. I think he could comfortably get home from here. But I think he wants to hold on to that tyre advantage as long as possible. But of course, every circuit, every sector that he's slower than Merckx at the moment means time he has to catch back later after the pit stop. Here is Bjorn trying to hold off Alpha Alex as Floyd Pink and Milan are doing battle as well. Here they are, heading down towards the hairpin. No move between Bjorn and Alpha Alex as Milan tries to stay ahead of Spud, tries to stay ahead of Max. Max on the new hard tyres. We've got Milan and Speedy Spud on new medium tyres, having pitted ARL out on medium tyres. And there is Moist into the pits, out of the pits again, and on the medium tyres now. So he can see his target. He's got to overtake Alpha Alex and Bjorn, and then 6 further seconds to catch Merckx. That's pretty big for the Maestro on the pace differential. He just has to hope Merckx's pace drops off like his pace just dropped off towards the end of his hard tyre stint. It's always a little bit harder to race against the clock than against a human that you can see. So that will be his target, is to try and make sure he can actually see Merckx first, use these two, make easy passes past these two while his tyres are at their best, and then reel in Merckx. But that is a very easy thing to say and a very difficult thing to do. That is a purple sector on his outlap for Moist. He's got those tyres up to temperature super quick. There we'll get a good glimpse of the neon green Sauber car, soon to be Audi. Here comes Moist down the inside. Is this going to be a double like we saw before? It absolutely is. What a great move again. Moist streaking past these two. He's making a habit of this. That's 2 double overtakes for Moist in our Grand Prix so far. Great to see. It's lap 18 of 28. Moist is now in second. He will have Bjorn with DRS behind him. He'll hope not to lose any time fighting with Bjorn. I think, to be fair to Bjorn and Moist, they are in different battles, really. But that's difficult for a driver to accept in the moment. Moist gets ahead and starts to gap, and now he needs to close the gap to Merckx. It's 5.8 seconds on lap 18, and it's quite a target to get back to within DRS and striking distance of Merckx with 10 laps to go. Doing a great job, though, so far. you have to say. Max and ARL have been penalised for track limits abuse. We'll check out those penalty counts now. It is just 3 seconds each. And then Bjorn and Alex resume battle here. We've got pockets of battles happening around the circuit. We've got Milan just ahead of Speedy Spud and Max. Max on the newest tyres of the bunch at the back of this pack. So great battling for the podium and the high points paying top 10 positions. ARL is also in 9th, having started right at the back of the grid. He's gained a position from Ricky. I think he retiming. I think he'd already gained a position on Atsu prior to this. Here comes Speedy Spud to the inside, making a bit of a meal of it, showing himself very early past Milan. And then the challenge for Milan is to slot back in behind the Haas without allowing Max a sniff at his position. But Max will have DRS on both of them. He's not actually gaining any slipstream here. Just focusing on beating the Williams into the apex, but it didn't work. Wow. Super close between the drivers. Moyes picked up the fastest lap and is down to 4 seconds, the gap between the two. We could actually have a good battle for the win here on with 9 to go. Merckx only leads by 3.8 seconds, but the longer it takes Moyes to get to Merckx, the smaller the tyre performance difference between the two compounds will be. Merckx tyres are not particularly old. They certainly won't enter the danger phase of wear by the end of the race, but they will be a poorer performing tyre over a single lap. But will it be enough for the Maestro to take a famous victory here against Merckx? Could it be that we wait for our double world champion to be the first person to beat Merckx on track in a Grand Prix distance? We shall see. It will be pretty tough for Ricky to take if that's what happens, but we shall see. No news from Ricky in the DMs or the driver chat, but I will keep checking for you. I do want to know what happened to our main championship contender here. 3 seconds the gap between the two at the front, but here is a real battle. Looks like Max getting the outside run through turn 16 on the Haas and through cleanly. That was nicely done. Alpha Alex has just passed Bjorn into turn 1. We'll see the Mercedes try and sweep around the outside. It looks like the better line into turn 1. If you can reach the apex of turn 2, it is the better line through, and it looks like that's Milan losing 2 positions in 1 corner, essentially. It is a long corner, but it's still facts. And we got Bjorn and Alex fighting super hard here. They've dropped... They've been dropped by Moist by 6 seconds, and I think their main battle is with each other today. Moist 2.3 the gap at the front. He's had to harvest a little bit this lap, I think, or pass somebody. Let's have a look. No one being passed and lapped at this stage. This is Spud in 6th position. Looks like Max has unlocked that pace now. Got past these drivers, and a 3-way battle has become a 2-way battle. I didn't actually know there was a little lake there in the infield of the Shanghai International Circuit, but just to the left of the run into turn 11 looked to be some water. Here comes Spud then, within range, but Alpha Alex might be within range first. No, not quite. Back to Spud and the run down to the hairpin, and looks like no cigar for Spud this time. Merckx leads by less than 2 seconds now, as Alpha Alex has been passed by Bjorn again, and these two continue a fantastic battle between them. Spud catching Max. They've both dropped Milan, who's had a problem on the previous run. So let's see if Alpha Alex can run into turn 6 and make an opportunity for a pass out of it, but not quite. Sticky's at the back, but fighting hard with Floyd for that final point tonight between McLaren and Red Bull. Ollie, out of position today, really, in 9th place. ARL likewise, but trying to get some points for his championship leading team. Every point he gets here is to the advantage of VCARB, but of course, it looks like Kick-Sauber are going to outscore them in a big way today, regardless of what happens come the final few laps. 7 to go in the Grand Prix, and Merck now leads by 1.3 seconds. Alpha Alex is only 0.2 of a second behind the Red Bull, who allows the run to the inside. Here we go. And he's ahead cleanly into the hairpin. That is about as clean as it has been in terms of getting the overspeed at the right moment. We'll see if Spud can do anything. He can't on the way in, and we'll just wait then to see if Moist can get within DRS zone. And he's actually caught him really, really quickly. What has gone on with Merck's pace today? Normally, if Merck breaks the DRS toe, he is in a great position. These two great rivals are going side by side. Once again, one of the characteristics of the International Racing League is this super clean and super entertaining battling that goes on between mutually respecting drivers. The paddock chat in the International Racing League is one of the most brutal things I have ever read in Discord, but on track these guys are brilliant together and super clean. It is such a great contrast between how they behave in chatting to each other. Moist has now got within that DRS zone. What a hell of a lap he's just had. Could it be? Could we see Merck beaten in a Grand Prix, do you think? Or is he playing games with Moist? Here is the gap for Moist. It's not sufficient to have a go here, but he's getting closer and closer. Bjorn has cleared Alpha Alex. They went side by side for a moment there. I don't think we'll see a dive bomb. Victor is enjoying clean racing. And I just love clean racing more than anything else. I don't care if one driver makes a pass and then another driver can get back past straight away. It is so much better than seeing drivers crash or damage each other's cars. I don't expect any less from these two, but the stakes are so much higher. We have 5 laps to go in the Grand Prix, and Moist is right there with Merck, still with a decent tyre advantage, you have to think, on 6-lap-old mediums versus 11-lap-old hards. And if he can just stay with Merck at the moment, he's in a great position. I'm going to do a cheeky look at the energy available to both drivers, but I'm not going to comment on it in case anyone is watching and has got the stream that they're listening to in one ear, as well as their engine note in another. But you can see for yourselves what the situation is between the two fighting for the lead of the Grand Prix. They have a gap of 10.5 seconds behind to third, but they don't care about that. This is all about the W tonight, and it's all important. Merck, he's fighting for a championship, and he'd love to get over the line as soon as possible. But Moist needs to get back on that top step. He hasn't been there since season 2. Here he comes Moist, and we've got a late-ish move from Merckx, but Moist is past and takes the lead of the Grand Prix on lap 23, and he didn't need a second chance, did he? What a fantastic overtake from Moist. I love to see it, but Merck now has to try and hang on. It looks like the performance difference is pretty mighty. Alpha Alex gets through past Bjorn once again, but there's no chance for each other to gap the other car because they're on identical strategies. Moist into the lead, only by 3.5 of a second. What he doesn't know is that is the level of ERS that Merck has, and whether that conveys an advantage to him that will be superior to the performance difference of their two tyres, compounds. Alpha Alex, they're now 11 seconds behind, but he and Bjorn will keep battling for this podium to the very end of the race, I'm sure. 4 racing laps to go for you, folks, and it is Moist ahead of Merck, with Alpha Alex and Bjorn in 3rd and 4th, Max and ARL in 5th and 6th, and Speedy Spud and Ollie in 7th and 8th. Milan is in 9th, and Floyd is right with him in 10th, Sticky down in 11th. But all the drivers pretty close to one another for a half-distance Grand Prix. And it looks like Moist has managed to get the gap here. He's got out to over a second. Does that now mean that Merckx cannot use the DRS? No, because that detection zone was earlier in the lap prior to turn 13, and where Moist stretched the gap. It's down to 6.5 tenths now as Bjorn and Alfa Alex. We're just going to go back and forth between these two battles until we get some kind of resolution or gap open up. They both lock up into the corner in complete tandem. But Bjorn just gets the nod here ahead. Merckx right on Moist's tail as they head into turn 1. That double bout of DRS on Moist's charge lap was really important. How is Merckx going to handle this? Very rarely, come the end of the race, has Merckx been the hunter. He's always been the hunted with Ricky Moreau, sometimes with Moist, or sometimes not at all. But he's always led the cars into the end of the Grand Prix, always led ahead of the other drivers. But this time he has to change tactic. Moist is hyper defensive into turn 7 and 8, and I thought he would have a better advantage than he's having at the moment. This, I think, is Merckx using the ERS to greater effect over the race distance. Another driver might have spent his ERS trying to stay away from Moist. I think Merckx has held it just in case for the last few laps here. Moist, it has a real challenge on his hands. Will we see the same again, but reversed conditions on board with Merckx? This is the DRS. It's got to be a slam dunk, I'm sure, as Moist just hangs around in the middle of the circuit. There goes Merckx back into the lead of the race, and it's 3 laps to go. Looks like Merckx having a problem getting out of turn 15 and 16 with the tyre performance that he's lacking. There's the DRS open for the Maestro Moist. If he can use the outside, he'll have a better way of sweeping into the corner. I don't think he'll quite get here on the inside edge. We'll see if he can just tiptoe round and hang on. And he can, and there he is ahead, but Merckx holds on into turn 3. He locks up halfway through the corner. They'll still be side by side as Moist hangs on here. This is amazing stuff. Moist still has the inside line heading into turn 6, and he'll own the apex, will he? Yes, indeed. As Merckx goes for a switchback, but it doesn't quite work. Gets a little bit of traction slide on the way out of the corner. What a battle we are seeing here for the lead. I just wish Ricky Moreau was part of this too, but this is great to see. This is Merckx being really challenged at what may be a special track here for our double world champion, but he has to try and drop the hammer. He has to try and put the gap on Merckx, or are we just going to see a ding-dong battle between these two all the way to the end of the race? Can't wait to see it. It's lap 26 of 28. We have 2 to go. And this is an absolutely classic battle here between the new champion-elect and the double world champion Moist. And he didn't actually use his DRS particularly there. I think Merckx, he's done this before. He's been really cagey, and he actually didn't want the lead going into the final laps. I think he's holding off here. But that's a dangerous game to play, because if Moist has held on to any advantage, he will, in fact, be able to drift away. So if you don't take your chance when it's presented, you can live to rue the decision. If you leave something on the track of your performance and you don't take the win, then you've only got regret to take home with you. But they're on very, very similar electrical deployment situation. Moist would love to put a gap on Merckx or allow him through. Will we see any funny games going into the detection as they head towards the final lap of the race? It's going to be super, super important who gets through here. I just want both drivers to come home safe without problem or penalty. I should probably put the penalties on screen so you can see for the rest of the grid. You know I'm not going to duck away from this battle, though. It's 7.5 tenths of a second temporarily there, the gap between the two. It's not enough for Moist to get away from Merckx. There, that line right on screen is the detection point on the way into turn 12 from turn 11. Alfa Alex and Bjorn, I think, may have come to blows eventually. Bjorn has gone off the circuit there, but now it's Merckx, and he's past the DRS line. Look at him, not using the DRS. This is so cheeky from Merckx, and he's going to try and put... That was a a swipe move at the back to try and make Moist defend harder than he needed to. Moist is aware of that kind of tactic, I think, or at least wasn't looking in the mirrors, so it hasn't worked at this stage. But here comes Merckx versus Moist then to start our final lap of the race. Who is your money on, the unbeaten Merckx or the double world champion Moist? This is great viewing to see. I hope you're enjoying it as much as I am as they snake round the corner. Who has got the advantage? Who has left the performance for this final lap? Medium tyres on Moist's car, hard worn tyres on Merckx, and the gap is opening. It's 0.4 of a second. It's back down to 3.5. This is absolutely nail-biting stuff here between the two. I hope they enjoy watching this back, and the guys enjoy sharing this out there as Moist gets away. It's 0.5 of a second. He really needs around 7 in order to be clearing away. I think this could be the advantage that Merckx needs. Let's see what Moist has got on deployment. What does he save for the end of this final run down? We will join Merckx on board. The gap is 0.6 of a second. It's absolutely tiny margins of performance between these two. The overspeed is enormous here. Which way do you go, left or right? Neither, says Merckx. Moist holds the inside line. That is courageous from Moist. This is going right down to the wire. He's going for it down into the inside in the final corner. They make contact. He had to go for it, but Moist beats Merckx at the final few yards of the race. What an absolutely amazing finish between these two. They will have loved that as much as we did. Alpha Alex with a famous third position after a race-long battle with Bjorn, but what a finish in the end. I can't believe the bravery of Moist to not commit to either the left or the right on the way into the final corner. Max takes 5th position. Speedy Spud is ahead of Milan at this stage, but taking his time through the final hairpin here. Merckx has left the session very quickly. I don't know if that means anything in terms of his feelings right now, but Spud is very happy with 6th, Milan in 7th, and ARL picks up 2 points for the VCARB team on a damage limitation day. Floydie across in 9th. Ollie actually picks that up in the end thanks to a penalty, and looks like Sticky got home in 11th position. I can't believe I'm going to have to someone's going to have to peel me off the ceiling after that finish. No, Merckx and Moist are exchanging congratulations. There's no hard feeling there between the two of them. I can't believe they went side by side into turn 16 at the end. Back on the top step of the podium is your double world champion after a very long dry spell, but that makes it all the sweeter. There he is. Fantastic win for the double world champion Moist. That will help him in his championship positioning this season. Merckx with highly valuable points against main rival Ricky, who retired today. But what could have been had Ricky been part of that one? Was this Merckx's only bogey track, or is it a sign that Moist is back? Merckx has finally been beaten in a Grand Prix distance in this season, and Moist was the man to do it. It is a tiny deficit at the end. I mean, going into turn 16, they were virtually level on the final corner. It is Moist who wins the race ahead of Merckx and Alpha Alex. Bjorn picks up 4th with Real Max in 5th and Speedy Spud in 6th. Milan in 7th, ARL in 8th, Ollie in 9th, and Floyd Pink with the final point. Milan picked up the fastest lap of the race for an extra point there, so picking up 7 points. Sticky finished. Atsu and Ricky Maru did not classify and quit early. ARL says, I did what I could. No practice, no setup. Missed the majority of quality. Couldn't really do much in the race. Lucky China is out of the way. Some guys hate this. Some guys love it. I think this will stay in the memory of Moist for a long time to come. And also, I imagine, for Merckx as well. Tremendous racing. I hope you enjoy watching it back many times. But thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for everyone that leaves a like on each of my videos. And for all of you, we will see you next week for the International Racing League round 13 of 16. But for now, this is Webbo saying goodbye to the International Racing League for a week. Goodbye to you. Thank you for watching, and I will catch you on the next race day.